Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Tylen Thomas, your host for Gamer Days Media, and today I wanted to do something new, something brand new, something I like to call Gamer Tales, where I sit down, play a game while talking about an interesting gaming experience from my past, or just an interesting story in general. Today is more gaming related, though. Not so much about the game that we're playing right now, it's just something I wanted to have in the background. But, yeah, just more about a game in general. Now, a little bit about me. When I'm passionate about something, I go head first into it. Now, I'll do some research because I don't like to just go in blind, but I do get excited and just kind of rush into it. But I'll do the adequate research. But this is one of those moments where I didn't do enough research, I'll say. Now, this was back in, let's say 2019, 2018 maybe. I was a steadily working man, for the first time like ever. And I was making some good money. And it was the first time in my life where I was really able to buy whatever I wanted to buy and do whatever really I wanted to do with my own money. It was the freedom to do what I wanted with the money that I earned from my first job, and it was amazing. It felt great, but of course with great power comes great responsibility, and I had the responsibility, but I had a very interesting moment. So getting to the point, there was this game that I wanted to play. It was, I don't remember what it was called. It was called Gundam something. Gundam is a very popular anime TV show about just pretty much guys and giant robots and space politics, basically. It's a really fun game, a really fun series, and the game was also really fun from the little that I've seen of it on YouTube, and I was like, man, this is a really cool game. It's a nice little strategy RPG type of thing, and I love those, and I love space and robots, so this should be the perfect game for me. And so I was excited to pick it up, and I wanted to pick it up. But interestingly enough, this game was not available in the US. It was not like a readily available English game with, English everywhere. It was all in Japanese. Every little bit of it was in Japanese. There was nothing provided in English. So that gave me a very interesting predicament to work through. But I've ran into that kind of a situation before, to where I had to buy a game that was pretty much all in Japanese and just go from there. But I was like, what, it should be fine. I've had this situation before. It's got to be like a little bit Japanese, but some English, or just enough English to where I can just work it out, work through the kinks, because I have played all Japanese type of games before, back in the PSP days. That was when I really first had that kind of a thing, and also with the 3DS, because there was some Dragon Ball games I wanted to play that was all in Japanese. And so this wasn't my first time dealing with that kind of a limitation, and I didn't think it was that big of a deal at the time, because I just thought I could handle it. But interestingly enough, the game was quite expensive, because this game was only, I think it was only on the Switch, or at least the Switch was the system I wanted it on. And it was very expensive to get on the Switch in general, because I don't know if it was just also from another region or just whatever, why the price was so just expensive, but it was expensive. The game was like, I believe $70 or $80 for me to buy it. It was a very big expense, but I was confident. I was like, okay, it's fine, because I'm gonna play this game. I really want this game. And so I knew it wasn't gonna be money wasted. It was just a lot to ask, of course, but for me, if I'm gonna use something and it's something I really, really want, I think it's fine, depending on what it is, of course. It's fine to spend like a large sum of money if I'm going to really, really use it. Like, I have to put in hours and hours and hours when it comes to like a game like that costs that much money. Or like if I was just buying like a random thing, I would just really need to use it, or else I could not in good conscience just be okay with spending that kind of money, because it's a lot of money. And I don't know, my lovely parents call me like stingy with money, but I mean for good reason. I mean, there's just a certain amount where I'm like, I don't even know, is this worth it? Is this worth it? But anyway, to the point of the story. So I thought it was worth it. I put in the money, you know, it was actually complicated, man. Just buying stuff out of region it's a lot easier than it ever has been, but it's still a complicated process. But I was able to do it. I paid the $80 and I got the game installed and ready to go, and I was excited. I was so excited to play the game for the first time. But of course, being an RPG where you have units that you need to know what they do, know how to do what they do, and position them in certain positions to where they can, you know, like chess, you know, like you have to know what your pieces do, you have to know how to utilize them perfectly, and when you don't know the language of the game you're playing, it's really hard to do that. And yeah, it was the first time when I was playing a game and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if this is really panning out, because I put in like maybe like 2-3 hours in, and I was just like, I'm having fun, but at the same time, I'm so confused. Like, I don't know what I'm doing or why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it was a mess. It was an honest to God mess. And it was hard because I was like, man, I used all this money. I don't know what to do. How can I like rectify this situation? Like, it was a lot. It was a lot because I'm stubborn, you know, like, especially after using that much money, I was like, I'm gonna make this work. I really don't know how, but I have to make this work. And I tried for so long. But then after doing more research, because I was just like, maybe I could just like find like a Google Doc or something, or maybe like Google Translate possibly could help me through this. I tried everything. I tried so much. Like, I was not willing to just accept the L on that, because that's $80. That is an $80 L that I did not want to take. I mean, would you want to take that? Not me. So I tried. I tried everything I could. I looked up all I could. But instead of finding a solution, I ended up finding something that really, really ticked me off. So the same game, I looked up the same game on like YouTube, maybe to like find some like tips and tricks or something, or just some sort of video to help me. And instead of finding like a video of the Japanese title, I ended up finding the exact same game in English on the PS4. The exact same game in English on the PS4. So literally telling me that, oh my gosh, I just wasted $80 on a game that after further research, I could have bought for like, I think it was like $40, maybe $50, maybe even $60 on my PS4. Sure, it wouldn't have been portable, but who cares? I would have had a lot of money. So it's just like, it was the most frustrated I had been in a long time, because I realized that I wasted so much money that I will not and cannot get back. It was not fun. It was not fun whatsoever, and I was livid. I was very much livid. Oh man, because I had to just. That's a lot of money, especially for someone who like had not too long ago seen that kind of money in their bank account for the first time, you know, like, just for it to all go down the drain. It was hard to be okay with that, be like, okay, it's a lesson learned. Yeah, it was a lesson learned, but it's not easy telling yourself that in the moment. So I had to tell myself that, like, okay, I learned my lesson. And years later, I was able to pick up, not the exact same game, but I think like a version of the same game. It was something. It was something like that. So I have the game now. It's in English. Years later, because there was just no way. And of course, this time I got the game on sale for $30. Oh my gosh, just so much time, so much energy soiled. It was bad. It was bad, and it broke my heart. It absolutely broke my heart. I mean, I wasn't sure how to take that. I wasn't sure how to swallow it. It was not fun. It was not fun whatsoever. But Yeah, that was a moment in time where I used up a lot of money. So, with a majority of anime-related games, a lot of them are popular enough, or companies deem that they'll be successful enough to where they'll come to America as well as Japan. But that's not always the case. Some games that are based off anime-related properties sometimes don't come to America. They sometimes stay in Japan as Japanese exclusives, sometimes because they don't think it'll be successful in the West, or just because they just want to keep it to themselves. I don't know, but usually money is involved. And Dragon Ball is not an exception to this. There are a few Japanese titles that stayed in Japan, but for the most part, from what I've seen of them and known of them, you know, I didn't really care. From my perspective, we kind of got the best of the best and the ones that we would have wanted. But there are a few that I really wish could have came to America, which at the time, Dragon Ball Heroes was a kind of game spin-off thing that they had that was only in Japan, but not in America. Until about, what was it, like 2019 or 2020? It wasn't that long ago. They released a Switch version known as Super Dragon Ball Heroes, but before then, there was no way to play Dragon Ball Heroes. It was kind of like Dragon Ball, but it was like a card game. It was like, if for fans of card games, like, this was the game to play. But, you know, they just decided to keep it in Japan. And the series has been going on for years. Like, I was following it when I was in high school, like back in like 2015 or so. I think is when I first really knew it was a thing, and I just fell in love with it. I was like, oh, I wish I could play this. And apparently, it was possible for me to, and I just didn't know it after a lot of research. I don't remember how I figured out this was a thing, but apparently, so Dragon Ball Heroes is originally an arcade game in Japan. It's a very, very popular arcade game. It makes a lot of money, it stayed in the arcades for the longest time until they decided to release the game on the 3DS. They released a few 3DS games, known as Dragon Ball Heroes Ultimate Mission, Ultimate Mission 2, and then Ultimate Mission X. Now, I first realized this was a thing when Ultimate Mission 2 was, I guess, fairly old. It wasn't new, but it was new to me. And I was really, really excited and looking forward to getting my hands on it. So, I think this has to be 2016 because it was for like a graduation gift. I had all this money and I could just get whatever it is I wanted to get. And I really wanted to get this game, but I needed a Japanese 3DS to play because unlike PlayStation, where they don't really care about region, like, so with systems, for people who don't know, some systems are region locked, which means if you wanted to play a Japanese game on your American system, that's impossible. Some systems just will not let you do that. Like, Nintendo systems usually don't until the Switch came around. And so it was kind of impossible for me to play a Japanese game without a Japanese 3DS, and that was a lot more money. But thankfully, I was able to get it, and I was able to try it out for myself. And unlike the last story where I spent a lot of money on a game I didn't understand and just couldn't play and spent no hours with, this game I spent hundreds of hours playing, and it was so much fun. I played it everywhere, took it everywhere, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And it was amazing. It was probably the first time I ever had to buy like a whole different system. It's a system I already owned because I had a 3DS at the time, but it wasn't like a Japanese 3DS. It was American made, I guess, for American games. And I never had to do that before. I didn't even know that was a thing until I looked into it and realized, oh yeah, region locking is a thing. I had no idea at the time. And that taught me that lesson. And it was interesting because, yeah, I never had to do that, and it was an interesting process because I had to go on a different website and find out where to find the game because, you know, Amazon and things. Oh my gosh, the prices Like, the places you would think to buy some of these games sometimes is way more expensive than you should be paying, which is the same truth for a lot of different things, but especially for things out of, not just out of state, but out of country. Like, out of, like, English, you know, things that are, like, out of country, out of our country type of things. It's, there's a word I'm looking for that's not popping in my head. But, yeah, it's a lot more difficult buying things like that and getting it to come here. It is a lot more difficult. Yeah, it was a mess. But thankfully, I didn't have to buy it during, like, a pandemic, because it's way harder to do that now. But that's neither here nor there. I was able to get it, loved it, absolutely loved it. And it was very interesting, playing the same system, but in a different language, because you can't just change the language. But thankfully I wasn't lost, because I already had a 3DS, so I pretty much knew what to do. And so I just played the game. I did a little bit of research. I had to rely on a lot of Google Translate, which, oh man, Google Translate, it kind of made me realize how much of a mess Google Translate can be. It'll give you enough of what you need to know sometimes, but man, a lot of the times, oh man, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. But yeah, for the most part, with certain things like, oh, what does this ability do? Oh, what is this main menu option asking me to do? It kind of gave me enough of what I needed to know, like, okay, I know it's not exactly what it's saying, but I get the idea, type of thing. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I definitely loved playing the game. And then about 2 years or so later, Ultimate Mission X came out, which was pretty much the same thing, but more cards and more things to do. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And with that game, it was kind of cool because it came with the actual, like, it came with, I think, 2, 3, maybe 4 of the actual cards that you would play if you were, you know, in Japanese arcades, which was super cool to me because I never actually saw them, like, in person before, and they're actually really, really small. Like, as compared to, like, Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, these cards were really small. Not like, you know, microscopic small, but they were just smaller than I was expecting. But they were still cool. The detail on the art was really just incredible to look at. But, yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed both of the games. It's a very interesting game. Like, I can see why they maybe thought it wouldn't be successful if they brought it here, because it's a very niche type of game. Like, it's a card collecting game, which, of course, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, stuff like that being very popular, you would think, oh, who wouldn't want that for Dragon Ball? Well, I mean, Dragon Ball is all about fighting, and when it comes to how we've played Dragon Ball games up until this point, there's never been a game like that, to my knowledge. I could be wrong, but I don't think we ever really had like a Dragon Ball card game. We've had like a lot of fighting games, a lot of character creation games like Xenoverse, but nothing like this. So not like strategy. But yeah, it's a fun game. I very much enjoy it. But again, after playing it myself, I can realize why they thought it may not be for everyone. But still, thankfully, they brought it over to the Switch not too long later, and I would say it was successful. I'm not really sure because I'm not like a money man, and I didn't do that kind of research. But I would say they got their money's worth. I think. I know I got my money's worth when I bought it and I played it. Spent a whole, just hundreds of hours. I love collecting things. I love like these type of like, you know, gotta catch them all type of games. I very much enjoy that aspect. I think it's really cool. Especially with a franchise like Dragon Ball that I love a lot, you know. It's not asking me much to want to collect the best of cards. So I very much enjoyed it, and it was a franchise, a very niche and not well-known franchise that I still love to this day because they still make games. Well, for the arcades. Who knows when we'll get another like portable version, but I'm hopeful. I would love to I would love to spend 100 more hours trying to collect more cards and things. But yeah, I mean, speaking of collecting things, I actually already have like a real life collection of some of the cards you would use in Japan. It's a small collection because those cards can be expensive too. But yeah, I very much enjoy it. Now, back in my day when I was a kid, I would beg for systems a lot because back in my day, systems were coming out like, for me, like almost, if not every Christmas, every other Christmas. So there was always something to want, something to be begging for. Just be like, please, please, can I get this new system? Please, can I play this new game? Please. But the first time I really had a moment like that, the first system to really make me want, like, the first system to really make me want to like beg for it, like, oh my gosh, I have to have this. The first time I had a moment like that was with the PlayStation 2. That was the first system I remember really just like, oh my gosh, Dad, I have to have this. Dad, can I have this? Please, please. Because back in the day, Naruto was a brand new anime to me, and it was something like it was something that was brand new. I was currently watching with my dad, and it was really awesome. And the first time I heard of the PS2 was when the first Naruto Ultimate Ninja game came out. It was pretty much a fighting game with Naruto characters that came out on the PS2, and I remember the commercial to this day. My goodness, I had it on repeat.
Experience the world of Naruto as you never have before. Join Naruto and his friends on their Ninja Academy quests as they battle the best in the land. Fight as one of more than 12 playable characters and switch stages mid-combat to gain tactical advantage. Increase your chakra and unleash multi-level super attacks to ascend the ranks and become a full-fledged ninja. Perfect your ninja skills to earn money and unlock tons of bonus content. Do you have what it takes to become the ultimate ninja? Naruto Ultimate Ninja, coming summer 2006. Only for the PlayStation 2 computer entertainment system.
I had that commercial playing on repeat, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have this game. I would ask my dad for it. I begged my dad for it. I was like, please, 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 please. Oh my gosh, yeah. And I remember him just like up and surprising me with it one day. It was really awesome. Like, that's another game I put a lot of hours into. Like, my goodness. Gosh, this game is really loud in my ears. Why are all these games so loud in my ears? Okay, anyway, it's like I got sidetracked. But yeah, the first Naruto Ultimate Ninja game was amazing. I spent so many hours with it. Yeah, he just surprised it with me out of the blue. Because one day he came home from work with a big old brown bag, and in the bag came the PS2 and Naruto Ultimate Ninja, and he was like, okay, this is mine, I'll let you play it, you just have to ask me. And I was like, deal. And man, that was the first of many systems I would ask for, beg for, and just love with all of my heart. Yeah, man. And funny enough, the PS2 that he gave me, I still have to this day. It's sitting in the front room, which I'm hoping it's still good because I haven't actually like booted it up in like so long. So hopefully it hasn't like gotten bad on me. But yeah, oh man, so many hours, and I played so many games in that system, from RPGs to fighting games. That was like, I feel like the PS2 for me has like the biggest catalog of games that I bought, because especially back in that day, I was not buying games that much. We couldn't afford to buy games often, so for us, most of the time we were we were renting games more than we were buying it, because back in the day they had Blockbuster. So yeah, and what was it? Because it was Blockbuster and it was GameFly. That was a big thing. GameFly is still a thing, I believe, but back when I had it, it was like a brand new thing, and like, oh my gosh, GameFly was so cool. Pretty much GameFly was like you would go on this website and you would pretty much select a game from their website, and if they had it in stock, they would pretty much send it to you for, like, it was like a monthly subscription type thing. So you could rent like one game or pay more a month to rent 2 games. And again, if they had it in their selection, they would just send it to the mail to you, and you would be able to play it for however long your subscription lasted. So yeah, and it's kind of like a, you know, send and my goodness, what am I talking about? It was one of those things, like, if you had a game, let's say you, like, I bought this game, well, rented this game, and I was done with it, I would have to send it back to them in order to get another game. So it was pretty cool. I thought it was really cool. But yeah, back in that day, I was renting more than buying, so I didn't really have a lot of games that were consistently on my shelves. I only had like a few. So when I was spending like hundreds of hours playing a game, you know, it was really just because that was my game, you know. That was just the game that I had. So we didn't really man, it's hard for me to talk sometimes. We didn't really have a lot of money to just be buying games. So a lot of it was rentals, and when I could buy, it was serious. It was a very serious game to me. Like, it was a game I had to have, and that I was going to spend a lot of time playing, which I'm glad that kind of happened to me, because it definitely poured into my adult life, where I don't just buy any kind of... Sometimes I do buy any kind of game where it's like, oh, I have the first one of this game, I gotta buy the sequel. Or sometimes it's... I'll just buy a game because I remember I used to like it, so... I don't know, but for the most part, I don't really make big gaming purchases unless I know I'm really gonna spend a lot of time playing it. So, and that definitely poured into my adult life, and I'm glad it did, because my goodness, I don't know, like, I love playing games, but I don't like spending a lot of money. So just get what? Call me cheap. Call me cheap if you want to call me cheap. That was just how it was. That was how it is. So yeah, just it all started with the PS2. After that, I don't remember what was the next system at the time. Maybe the GameCube? I played a lot of games on the GameCube as well. Oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, I played a lot of games on the GameCube also. That was another system that I remember playing a lot. That was actually a system that me and my baby sister, we would play too, because there was a game that she actually wanted to play and she liked playing. Because my dad is kind of a gamer, but not too much because family. But yeah, it's mostly just me, and sometimes my sisters, if they just have a game that they're like, oh, this looks like fun, but finding that game is not easy. What was the game? It was Kirby's Air Ride. That was a fun little type of party game that we had a lot of fun with. Oh my goodness. But yeah, gaming was yes sir. Gaming was interesting in my household. Same kind of with movies, but more so with games, because games were quite expensive. But yeah, I could say I had a pretty good childhood, because for the most part, if there was a game I wanted, if my parents found it appropriate, that is, I was able to play it. The one game that they would never let me play was GTA. It was just not appropriate. And honestly, I was fine with that. I wasn't really too heartbroken about it. I wasn't like, no, why can't I play? I mean, I was for a little bit, but I got over it. I didn't really care too much. There wasn't, and honestly, there really weren't too many games where I was like, yeah, that's fine. It's fine. Can't play it? That's fine. I mean, I had like a few, but for the most part, if there was a game I wanted to play, I would play it. Keep trying. What? keep trying. But anyway, though this has been an episode of Gamer Tales. If you guys like this, please let me know in the comments. And definitely like the video if you like it. Because this is something new that I wanted to try to see. Because it's a nice personal thing for me to be like, hey, this is a part of my life. Hey, this is kind of part of my gaming, my gaming history, my life as a gamer. I don't know. But yeah, just to know a little bit more about me and how I think about games and how games have affected me. And maybe I'll do more of these. Just let me know if y'all like it. But anyway, that'll do it for this episode at least. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, take care and God bless.